Hey guys, welcome to this episode of the Go Mango Tokukast. I'm your host, Frozen Stratos. Here with me today we have
Makotoa.
my dude. Welcome back on today's show. As you can see, we are going to be reviewing Kamen Rider Build Episode 10. The episode that stuffed a lot into one little space.
An episode that had multiple ending points, but did not end.
This, you won't get this reference, but this reminded me a lot of Ninja Steel's opening theme. Oh, it could have ended so many different times.
That's great.
And Alex was touching on this in the watch along, but it did feel like there was a pacing issue, and as I said, this was a stuffed episode. A lot of things happened. I mean, let me just run down my list. By the way, spoilers for the episode if you haven't seen it. That should have been apparent. Go watch it if you haven't. Use our watch along link. So we lost all of Sento's main bottles. All of them.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Like, literally.
That's right. Yeah. There's so much to pick up on.
How did
the Pandora box was stolen.
Ah, yes.
We also got the new form, because we're always getting new best matches of Lock Dragon.
Ooh.
Yeah. We got the reveal that Brad Stark can change faces with his hand, and that he is possibly the scientist guy.
Yeah, that kind of confirmation was pretty significant. Oh, well, I mean, it's technically not confirmed, but kind of is.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's still deliberation, and we also saw sort of the scientists, like, I don't know why they're like worshipping the ground he stands on. the scientist, but they love him. They absolutely adore him, and they just think there's some sort of ulterior motive to why he'd be Bloodstank, and why, you know, like, that he has some grand plan. You know. Also, on top of that, Banjo got to level 3.
Yeah, that's right. He
yeah.
Everybody grabbed blood. Yeah, you're saying it wrong.
Yeah, choose one. Choose a name.
I don't want to. Blood stank.
Yeah!
Everybody was grabbing onto his
little collar.
His scuba collar. That's what I like to think of it as. It's like everybody, like,
yeah,
at least 3 different individuals.
It's so grabbable.
I hate that. I hate it when people do that, because it reminds me back when we were kids and we were playing superheroes, and I had the Gravitron helmet on, and everybody was trying to knock it off my head for some reason. Like, it was just their goal because it was there. So it's like this. It's okay. It's not an open invitation. All right. It's not an open invitation. So, anyway,
look, man, I don't remember us having that issue, but I wasn't the one wearing the helmet, so
yeah.
Now I do want to touch on the loss of the bottles and how problematic that may end up being. I was on Twitter, and someone had watched the episode, Dawson Rider, if any of you know him. He was on Twitter, and he was like, oh yes, the old Sentai trope, or the old Toku trope of pinata main characters. Where they just get hit and all the toys fly out of them.
Yeah, that's true.
And
They've done that with Ghost too before, with all his icons.
Yeah.
They just scatter.
But I'm wondering if maybe this is sort of a lead-in to, hey, I can't properly wield the build driver using this best match form of Lock and Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
So, Banjo will get the driver and use the Just Dragon form.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I was super surprised that he used, obviously, what is going to be Banjo's power-up to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Like, usually you see, like, even if there's the capability to have a power, like, potentially somebody else use it, it never happens. It just, for some reason, they don't want to, like, confuse people, or it's, that power's obviously them, right? Like in X-Aid, like, sometimes they would just lose them and somebody else would pick it up, and it would just never get used by another person.
Right. I feel like that has more to do with the gimmick this time around. I mean, sure, the Gashats were, not necessarily tied to them, but I feel like they were thematically tied to the character. Whereas in Build, it's all about building the best matches. It's all about testing and experimenting different combinations. And I feel like without that, like with that aspect missing, it would have been more jarring if they didn't. Because for X-Aid, it kind of made sense.
Yeah.
But here, I feel like it'd be real jarring if they didn't test it. Just like it's jarring when Sento was like, oh, I don't know which one does a best match or not. You could just put them all in and test it.
Yeah.
There's a way to do that, but okay.
Sounds like a science thing to do, too.
Yeah. Like you might have a hypothesis and you want to test it.
Nah, they gotta make Banjo look cool in some way.
I guess
Although he kind of already does. He's endearing, and he seems to actually put up a good fight, even though he still doesn't have a suit, which is upsetting to me. Which, I mean, that's going into the next episode, but finally, holy crud.
Well, okay, I'm pretty sure it's not just for pacing, but also like, hey, we have to meet this certain quota on these bottles that are coming out. And we don't want to promote a new toy just yet.
Yeah.
Because we still have this stock to get through.
That sounds like my hypothesis.
Finish up the best matches.
It sounds like my hypothesis on why Nintendo hasn't announced Smash Bros. Yet. Was because they were waiting to release all of their other lesser fighting games first. Which, I mean, ARMS and Pokken. I'm probably triggering people. Anyways,
great. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. Okay.
So, what was my point earlier? I do think it is a lead-in to be like, hey, I can't use this properly. You're going to need to use it. I'm going to retroactively fit your dragon and then allow that power to be transferred to both sides.
That's going to be cool when it happens, but it's just like, it's just a little bit more painful with this series because he is actively having to fight other suited villains a lot and, just with his fists. And so it's just...
But how cool is it? We don't get that a lot.
It was cool for the first few times, but now it's just like, man, I'm feeling like they can only use the... oh, I'm gonna test his power out and toy with him so many times. Like,
right, okay, but in terms of like when we at the end of this, when we have Build as a whole, would you rather have more dope civilian fights or like same suit stuff? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I know what you mean.
Build has somewhat of a record for Banjo to give him all of those out of suit.
I guess
fights.
In like on the flip side, it's going to be all the more satisfying when we finally see it because
exactly.
So, but
yeah, I do like how they brought back the callback to Sweaty Banjo. As you might have noticed in the opening, he's punching the wet off of his body.
Yeah.
And after getting through like maybe, like a decent amount of robots just punching him out, dude was drenched.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought that was so funny.
Props to the makeup designers also, because like every time Banjo gets bloodied and bruised, it looks painful to me.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. Like, maybe for our protagonist, it's not as much, but like for Banjo, he just looks like he just got roughed up.
Yeah.
Um,
There was a troublesome part of this episode, and I feel like this really sort of extends to Build as a whole so far. We are 10 episodes in.
Mm-hmm.
There's always this sort of underlying mistrust between Banjo and Sento, and it feels like every episode it's been like, oh yeah, we're done with this, they're friends now. But no, they're not. And then at the end of this episode, he's like, what is this? I'm starting to this is troublesome. Starting to think you're a cool guy. He's like, me too. Like, does that mean they're friends now, or does that mean we're still gonna get more mistrust?
I think that it's understandable mistrust, unlike in some series where it might be like, oh, we're just doing this same old thing just to like, fill the space. I think because of the way the plot was actually going, it's like, oh, you could have been the actual murderer in my place, so now I don't trust you. Or, oh, you might be this or that, like, so now I don't. So there's like a lot of new information that keeps coming that causes more hurdles into their growing relationship. Mm-hmm. But like, it's I hate to keep bringing up Xaid, but like, at least they're not trying to actively kill each other, like.
That's so annoying.
Because that happened a lot.
Look, if we talk about Xaid negatively, we will get shut down.
Yes, we will.
I do want to note that I do think this is the end of that sort of like will they, won't they situation.
Yeah, same.
Just because, well, we're getting the form next episode, and Misora had been saying this thing of like, he trusts you, or like, he built this to help you. He's been helping you.
Yeah. Why
don't you trust him? And then now that he's getting his own suit, I'm pretty sure it's like that cements the trust. Like, not only is Sento going to entrust him to take up the mantle of Kamen Rider, considering he doesn't have any bottles, he also gave him the belt. The belt. I'm thinking. Like, I don't know that he can produce a belt so quickly. Toku has proved me wrong before, but I don't know. I do kind of want to see a handing off of the belt, And we saw the previews for next episode. Build was nowhere to be found. And
wow.
The change would make sense. You give the fighter the suit.
I don't know.
The guy that can fight the suit.
I mean, like...
And on top of that, like, he can pinata the heck out of Night Rogue until he gets the bottles back, and then...
Pinata, Yeah, but that's pretty much what's gonna happen, is he's gonna take a few punches, and they're just gonna, like, pop out of his negative space, which is where he was holding that piece of the cube, right? Of Pandora's box. Remember how he just whipped that out of nowhere?
Oh, yeah, his Toku pocket.
Yes. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I feel like there's something else that's significant that happened that I'm forgetting.
Oh, yeah, at the end of the episode, the Prime Minister has a heart attack.
Shoot. Yeah, and then his son's concerned, and then his son is suddenly, like, smirking like an evil villain. Which, by the way, his assistant really learned how to do that from him, probably, because he was doing that a lot, too.
Oh my goodness! Anytime something bad would happen to the people that he wanted something bad to happen to, he'd turn away to the camera and just smile. That smug mother... It was hilarious.
It was great. It really was.
Yeah.
I really want the assistant to get a power. I want him to have a suit for some reason because he's just like he he could be. I don't know. Like,
look, man, if it incentivizes me to buy another wave of,
I kind of just want him to be like that trashy Starscream villain that like is plotting,
okay, I see what
but
you're
then
coming
like
from.
always probably just gets shafted in just some terrible way at the end. Or maybe he tries to like double cross Batman.
What a bit!
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Like,
oh, go for it.
oh no, I was just.
Oh well, I was mostly about to wrap it up just because
Oh.
we're running a bit long, and I feel like we touched on everything
Yeah.
important.
My
Also, their base has been bugged this whole time.
Oh.
That also was shoved in there.
Oh yeah, frick! I forgot about
Yeah.
that. There was so
I
much.
mean, like,
Shoot,
Again, pacing issues this episode. I do want to say this.
it's a lot. To
This
keep
is
track
the
of.
weakest episode of Build, not because it was bad. Again, like what Alex was saying, but because everything else was so good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So those are my final thoughts. Do you have any, Michael?
I am loving Bloodstark more and more and more. Like as a villain.
Oh, Brad.
He's like my favorite right now, favorite character, because he's like that. He's that cheeky villain that's like, toying with them a lot, and then gets serious at one point or another, and then he's still like, even when he gets sort of a problem in his plan, he still looks on the bright side or something. He's like,
I guess.
well, like when he got surrounded by everybody, including Batman or whatever, he's like, what do you plan to do with that? He picks it up, he hands it to him. We're going to take it where we were going. Like he just flies with it, right?
He's
like,
pretty sly. Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
He
rolls with the punches.
That's the word. That's the word I was looking for. Okay, a term. All right.
What?
Roll with the punches.
Ah, gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Well, speaking of roll with the punches, let's roll along to the end.
That sounds good. We're good.
Great. Yeah, so we like this episode, clearly, just not as much as the other ones. If you like this episode, hit that like button and subscribe if you want to hear more from us each week. Head into the comments down below, tell us what you thought about this episode, and hey, hit that eye icon above. I got a little present for you. It's a Soto build Kamen Rider Wave 1. Wait, I don't know if that was in the right order. It's a toy review. Check it out. It's my first one. I really like it. And I'm going to be bringing these out regularly, maybe weekly. Who knows? Anyways, guys, I think that just about does it. Keep it juicy.
See ya.